So picky eating is also referred to fussy eating, and it's a complex behavior. It's broadly referring to a combination of different traits. So the traits characterizing picky eating can be food selectivity, where they avoid the intake of certain foods or food groups. Sensory sensitivity, this happens more often in the premature babies or babies who had severe reflux. So these babies avoid food based on the response of the oral area. If you bring a spoon to the mouth, they may start pushing it away and so on. There may be a lack of interest in eating, that is, they eat only small amounts and have a poor appetite. Eats less, that is related to the parents' perception. So this is a common problem. And food neophobia, where they don't want new foods introduced or they're reluctant to try new foods. So for a parent or caregiver, picky eating behavior is always worrisome. But however, the importance is to understand whether the perception of the parent as for picky eating is indeed associated with reduced diet variety and nutrient intake, and whether this has any implication on the child's nutritional status and growth. As a pediatrician, our responsibility lies in illustrating to the family whether the growth profile of the child is going appropriately or not. And picky eating can often be a result of the parents' pattern, the response of the parents to feeding behavior. And if the child is growing normally, it's less of a concern. If the child's growth trajectory is dropping, it's more of a concern. So this is what we should encourage. And as I said, the advice that we are discussing now should be given early in the weaning phase. So I always stress on holistic care, educating the families early on so they don't end up with problems. So infants like a degree of independence, and parents, out of their concerns, may try to force a pattern of feeding on the child that does not suit the child's personality. The infant responsive parenting styles are more likely to avoid picky eating. Majority of the picky eaters are created by parents' anxiety or over expectation, we can call that. So when we say that the parents are forcing the child to feed, it may just mean that they are trying to feed the baby when they are not hungry. They try to make them complete a quantity that they don't need. This is often a cultural thing as well. For example, in the subcontinent, we don't like to waste food, so we try to finish what we've taken. And trying to force a particular food type or texture. So remember that you may have an equally nutritious alternative option which a child will take. So it's not necessary to give a particular form of the food as long as the nutritional value is met. So these are the red flags that we should carefully look for if there is picky eating. So is there any signs of aspiration, difficulty in swallowing, vomiting or diarrhea, which may indicate allergy, failure to thrive, pain while feeding, inability to advance textures because of their sensory difficulties, whether the child is developmentally delayed or whether there is any other medical condition. The environmental red flags may mean parental behavior might need to change. So reported forced feeding, reported presence of distractions at meal times. This is very common. It's almost the norm that parents use TV. We have to start telling them about the negative effects of screen time from the beginning before they even start this habit. Reported increased stress levels at meal times, prolonged meal times, inability to advance textures, and absence of independent feeding at all. So some baby-led weaning, as I said, should be encouraged. And the third part is behavioral warning signs, where you have anticipatory gagging, food selectiveness, cessation of oral intake after a traumatic incident, extended periods of food refusal, inability to advance textures, and so on. So this group happens more as a result of the environmental red flags, the parents not realizing where to draw the line and where not to force their kids to eat. So this is a secondary effect of forced parenting. So when we approach picky eaters, most children with picky eating only need parental counseling and monitoring and support. An approach which is less controlling and more infant responsive is ideal. Educating parents early during the complementary feeding introduction is ideal. As I said, most of these arise from misperception. So explaining to them how to monitor the growth, explaining to them how to progress is very important. And consider supplements if they are picky eaters to avoid iron, zinc, vitamin D, and fiber deficiencies. High energy milks are a controversial topic, and as we are running out of time, I can't explain in much detail. However, you should only start high energy milks where you have a growth defect. So don't give high energy milk as a substitute, because that's going away from what the healthy eating pattern should be. If you do see a drop in percentile, if you do feel it's impossible to get the normal dietary requirements through healthy means, you may consider a high energy meal as a bridge. So milks like Pediasure or Infatrini are available which have 100 calories per 100 ml. Infertini is used till 18 months of age. Pediasure can be used beyond 1 year of age. These are having normal sugar as well, so we should make sure the dental hygiene is better. In the extremely stunted kids, high energy components like 150 kilocalories per 100 ml like Nutrini or Febrini can be considered, but forgive me for using these brands, but just to give you an idea of what is available. If you do start, you should use it for a short period of time. Remember to monitor for excessive weight gain and cut back when it is noted. Try to keep it only for the night milk feed, because you don't want it interfering with their appetite during the day, because high energy milks do reduce their appetite. So with this, I will conclude, and I thank you for your attention.